You did it. You finally made it to college. The hard part is over. But now people around you are getting jobs and internships, and they're making so much money. And what happened? You were ahead. Well, how are you falling so far behind? You aren't behind at all. But college is one of the easiest places to feel like you are behind. And that's not just about jobs or internships. This includes things like looks, because there is a huge trend of college students injecting themselves with things daily because they feel like they're behind others looks-wise, which we're going to get into a little bit later.
Okay, here's a question for you. Have you ever heard of looksmaxing?
But the first thing we need to do is change our perspectives on what makes someone behind, because everyone is coming from such diverse backgrounds, especially in university, because in high school, usually everyone is from the same general area, but in university, people are coming from all over the country or even all over the world. And how would it make sense to call someone whose parents can't afford to send them to college, so they're taking out student loans, behind someone whose parents are multimillionaires and can pay for everything in college? They're not even on the same playing field, or they're not starting from the same playing field. But before we get too deep into this, we are, of course, as always, joined by my lovely producer, Mr. Nash, never behind Bennett.
Never. Always in the front.
And
whoa, sorry.
Okay. Our intention here is not to say anything crazy like Nash is saying. We are not trying to be one of those how to be a Sigma male channels.
Today we're going to learn about 12 subtle habits of alpha males. Now let's begin.
Because these grind set videos are part of the problem. Social media has become such a place for comparison, which I know is like water is wet, grass is green. We all know this, but we need to do more than just acknowledge it. We need to believe it, which is our first way to get over feeling behind. Acknowledge that and realize that social media is just always a highlight reel of the best moments of people's lives. And we need to stop comparing ourselves to just the best parts of people. This is even especially prevalent in people who are on social media as influencers. I have friends who have tens, if not hundreds of thousands of followers who compare themselves to people more than I think the average person, because they're constantly refreshing, looking at how many likes, looking at how many views their things are getting. And that's just not how we should be living lives. We should not be we should not be looking at other people to compare ourselves.
Are you talking about me?
Yeah. But we just need to stop all of that comparison, because comparison is, call me Albert Einstein, it's the thief of joy.
Yeah.
No one has ever said that before, but it really is the thief of joy. And me, as I would consider myself a fairly competitive person, I would always compare myself to others, and I would try and compete with them, which is going to be our second way to stop feeling as behind. You shouldn't be competing with people who aren't, you shouldn't be competing with other people. You should be competing with yourself, because you are the only person on that same playing field. There is no way that, probably, I'm never going to be as rich as LeBron James or as handsome as Nash. And those comparisons were just making me feel terrible about myself. That's not a way to live. You can't compete. You can't compete with the best out of other people if you're not getting the best out of yourself, which is why you need to first be competitive with yourself. You need to wake up every day and try and be a better version of yourself from yesterday.
I mean, yeah, I wake up every morning, I look in the mirror, and I say, I'm going to beat you. I'm going to beat you. Actually, that sounds really bad.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we all do.
Yeah.
But it gets to extreme lengths if you continue to do this. I trained really hard, and I did a marathon, and I felt like, dang, I can compete with other people now. I've done something that I don't think a lot of other people can say they've done. And then I made a new friend who was an ultra marathon runner, and I was like, well, damn, bro, and I felt bad about myself. I felt like I was not a good runner because I had only ran a marathon, and I wasn't an ultra marathon running 50 miles at a time.
Liam, it's me. You can say it's me. I'm the ultra marathon runner he's talking about.
And me bringing up the marathon is another example of social media always being the place where people are bringing up their best selves and highlighting their best traits, because I'm not bringing up me feeling like uglier than someone else, or my teeth not being as nice as someone else's, as something where I'm comparing myself to others. I'm bringing up one of the coolest things I've done or the most impressive things I've done physically, which is a marathon.
I filmed you doing the marathon.
You did.
So in a
film
way,
yourself.
I feel like I walked a marathon's worth of walking that day. So
We filmed the marathon, and Nash did not find me while running the marathon a single time, actually.
well, because it was all around the whole city. What do you want me to do?
You had my location.
You should have had a drone.
Waited somewhere. Anyways, that was a not impressive moment from Nash that I would like to highlight on social media, because I think we should start airing people out more on social media.
Well, I was comparing myself to all the drones that were flying across the river to get to all the different parts that other news organizations had access to.
And you could have brought a drone to fly and find me, but you didn't. But this whole idea of comparison is even worse when it comes to looks, in my opinion, because there is a huge new trend where people are literally injecting themselves with things because they feel like they are not looking as good as other people. And one of the main things they're injecting themselves is with steroids, but other things include random peptides, which I barely even know what peptides are. I just know that it's probably not a good idea to inject yourself with things.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like at large it's not a good idea to inject yourself with stuff unless it's like something you need to live, or like a vaccine or something like that.
Yeah, that makes it fine. But the whole idea of injecting yourself with things, other than it just being dangerous, I think the mental toll it has on you is terrible, because you feel like you aren't good enough yourself and you need to supplement yourself with other things to make yourself better. It's just highlighting your insecurities even more. And the more you focus on, oh, I need to inject myself with this to look better and this to look better, the more it highlights those insecurities and heightens them, because you're hyper aware of that. And it's becoming a trend in increasingly young people. I met one of my friends' little sibling's friend, who was 18 years old and injecting himself with multiple peptides, and he was going on a cycle of steroids, which, how are we doing this so young?
I think it's a representation of things that have existed for a while in the deeper corners of the internet that are like coming to the surface a little bit and becoming more mainstream.
And it's terrible that they're becoming mainstream and that everyone is feeling more behind than ever. And I think we are just in such an age of insecurity and of being so anxious. I think there's a book called The Anxious Generation.
Yeah, I think I've heard of that book as well. It's weird. Our generation is just like set up to be super anxious with like social media. It just makes us compare ourselves way more.
And this is even so heightened in college, because college is the place where we are competing with other people to eventually get jobs in the workforce afterwards. And I especially felt it because I felt like I was falling so far behind because I didn't know what I wanted to do. I had switched my major 4 times. I went from film to marketing to journalism back to communications. And I even transferred to universities and transferred back to Portland State, where I'm still at today. I was just comparing myself to other people when I didn't even know what I wanted to be doing myself yet. So why should I be comparing myself to others if I don't even know if that's what I want to be doing?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so many people come into college like having done whatever they're studying for years, like music majors. They're like, I'm, majoring in guitar. I've been playing since I was 5 years old, but there's nothing wrong with going to college and majoring in guitar and you've barely played, you know what I mean? I mean, to be honest though, don't you have to I don't know, like do a test?
I think you technically do have to do a test to get in, but okay, I think your point still makes enough sense though.
Yeah, I mean, there's like a barrier to entry even with that, like what do you have to already be at a certain level to even start,
Yeah.
And I think when you get to college, it's so important that your first couple years you open yourself up to like exploring different things, because and there might be people that already know, but that's okay.
Yeah. And focus on what you can control, because there are things that are going to be always out of your control, especially when you're trying to compete with other people, because people will have varying levels of talent or varying levels of experience. But what you can control is being a good person. There are people who are working in my field that I know. I'm not going to say their names because I don't want to call them out, but they are so far ahead of me and they're working with so many high profile people. But they are not good people. They say terrible things about people. They are just known as a terrible person, even though they are incredibly talented and do amazing work. And I think you should always want to be a better person rather than a more successful person. I think always focus on being a better person because people will like you more. You will be remembered more fondly. And it's just better.
Yeah, I think in college it can be really easy to get in that kind of grind set mentality where you're just like, okay, I'm here, I'm paying this money, I gotta like just milk it. And I don't know,
Yeah.
a lot of pauses in this episode. I'm saying people just spend college like going so hard and like doing sorry.
Anyways, going so hard, continue.
People spend a lot of time in college just like working so hard and spending so much time pursuing their goals, which is great. And I'm not saying that people need to not do that, obviously, but they may not put as much time into evolving themselves as a person and like their, at home lifestyle type things, where I think people get out of college and get into the workforce and maybe are lacking a little bit of that personal growth because they're spending so much energy on their career growth.
And eventually, these are people that might get passed by people who were not as talented and were not as competitive in college because people just don't genuinely like them as much, so they won't give them opportunities. There have been opportunities I have gotten that I definitely shouldn't have gotten, but people just liked me and let me come aboard on some team to do projects that I definitely shouldn't have gotten.
I especially on film sets, I know that people much prefer a good hang and someone that they trust to spend 10 hours a day around, way beyond how many credits they have or whatever like skills they've acquired.
And that's happened to us. We were at Amine's Best Day Ever Fest, which his manager let us come to for free and cover. I don't really think that we had the credentials to be filming there.
No,
Yeah.
not really.
Like, we were just kind of there. We were kind of hanging out. There was a lot of like very professional filmers there, and we got to meet a lot of people. That was super cool. I got to meet one of my favorite artists, Taka, there. He was super nice. We wouldn't have gotten there if we weren't just kind to him and his manager and had met him once and were just genuinely trying to be nice people and not trying to compete with them.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to be competing with Amine.
Yeah, totally.
My rap skills are not that good. Being happy about where you are is so important because you shouldn't be valuing your happiness on how other people are doing. That's what competing and comparing with everyone does to you. You will value yourself based on how others are doing. And it's just unsustainable. It's not something you should be doing. There is also a chance that me and Nash are huffing copium this episode again.
Big time.
Because maybe we're not doing as good as other people. But I think we're doing a pretty good job, Nash.
Well, I think the truth is that you kind of have to have a bit of a copium problem to like get through, because I think the fear of the anxiety that we're talking about is what drives a lot of people, and so it's like even the people that are quote unquote ahead or successful are dealing with that same anxiety. We just might be handling it differently because we aren't like busting sorry.
Dude, you have got to stop, Nash.
I don't know what this is about. People that aren't like breaking their backs to try to like avoid it. Everyone is like feeling insecure about it, and everyone there's always somebody that is ahead of them and that they feel behind someone else,
Yeah. And I don't think me and Nash are behind at all. I think we are exactly where we need to be. I might be broke as hell, but I am having a good time, and I am doing what I love. And I'm doing that for a living, which is an amazing opportunity that I got through college. And I think so many people are feeling the exact same way you are if you are feeling behind. If you're not feeling behind, you are probably lying to yourself. You should probably think about that. But I think everyone is feeling behind to some extent. And I think it's just important that we talk about it and acknowledge that and think about how we can change. Nash, if people are still here, what should they comment?
If you're still here, comment something that you feel in front about. Like, it's something that you feel like you are like, I am the best.
I have
at
no
this.
idea what Nash is talking about, but comment something that you're in front of. I will see you all next Sunday. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope you all have a great week.
Hi, Liam and Nash. Big fan of Schmitt Talk here. And I'm curious if either of you guys have a picture of yourselves on your first week of college. I remember my first week of college, there was like this big like ceremony kind of thing where they're like, welcome freshmen, and they had everyone take a selfie with the people next to them. So I'm curious if you guys had an experience like that, or if you just have any pictures from when you first started. You guys are awesome. Keep it up.